So now we'll be running through the logic for the Dutch auction. So our contract is basically working in two parts. One is the auction token, which is essentially minting the tokens that are to be sold in the auction. Second is the actual auction logic, which basically works through a few functions. Our main functions are the current price and the buy tokens. The buy tokens is where the bids are placed, and we use the message.value to allocate tokens based on the current price, and that gets allocated to each bidder. And we store those bidders in this mapping as an address to a bidder, and each bidder object has an invested amount and the number of tokens that they own. We're using that invested amount and the tokens that they own to refund the actual amount later when the contract is ended. So when we enter the finalized auction, we have a final price which is triggered by the buy token call, and we refund each amount by this logic, which is bidder amount minus the investor minus the total cost, which is calculated over here. We use safe math so that none of the simple errors come up in our logic. So next, I'll be talking about how we set up our test environment. So we go to the testnet and we essentially use Ganache, which provides us with dummy addresses. We can use these addresses over here and go over to our MetaMask to add these in. And we've already added this account for ourselves. So you can see that the account is here. That's because we've already added the testnet, our custom network in Ganache, and you can see that the details are over here. So that's basically the setup. And we connect that account, and finally we can essentially see this happening over here, right? So that's it for the setup. Now we can start, we can now look at this where we use Truffle to migrate the actual instances of contract that we use for initial testing. So we use npx truffle migrate, and we also copy the JSON files which contain the ABI for the front end to migrate with to integrate with the contracts. So we run all of that in one command, and finally we can see over here that yeah, these contracts are getting deployed. And we wrote a test script to deploy contract, which is a simple deployment script.
Okay, so this is the setup of the Dutch auction that our team has made, and this is the setup that we have. We are currently connected to uh, account number 3. We'll switch to account number 2 because we want to put that as the bidder for this one. So we disconnect from here and we connect. We verify the address of the wallets. So yes, this is account 2. Now we go to the seller setup to start the auction, and since the duration of the auction should be 1200 seconds, which is 20 minutes, we will put that as that, and then we start the auction with 100 tokens and a reserve price of 0.01 ETH. Okay. So in this auction, we want to place the bid from one bidder itself. We are testing out the case where we place bid from one bidder, and then the auction runs out of all of the tokens. So basically, the auction ends as soon as the first bidder overbuys everything. Okay, so we will connect to the account wallet number 3, which will be our bidder, and disconnect and connect. And now we will see what amount of money does the account number 3 have, which is 695 Ethereum. 695.9 Ethereum is the current amount. And you can see the price is decreasing over time. The next decrease is in 5 seconds since our interval was 5 seconds. So now we'll put a bid of 100 Ether, which should end the auction. And we submit bid. We can see the bid over here. The auction has ended. And we can also see over here it's ended. We got allocated 100 tokens. We can check the balance of our account. It was 695 and now it's 676. This means that 100 Ether was initially deducted from the account, but then most of it got refunded because the price had decreased over time, right? And we can see the refund mechanism working here as well. Now we go and import the wallet into import the token into MetaMask. So we can go on Insight and check the console. Over here we have a token address which we can copy and then import that into MetaMask. This is the token address, and you can see this has a balance of 180K. So yeah, this shows that the mechanism is working in this case. So we are recording the case two over here, where two bidders place their bids, and on the second bid, all the auction tokens get over or they get used up. So let's start by setting up the seller account. We see that the seller account is account number two. We've started that, and it has 1411.4 worth of Ethereum. So now we go over here and we fill sample values. We want the auction to run for 20 minutes. That's why we put 1200 and we start the auction. Now we go home and we see that we're still connected to account two. So let's connect to account three now and place a bid from a different account. So this account has a balance of 634 Ethereum. So yeah, let's just place a bid. And we have to connect the wallet to place a bid. We're connected to account number three. Yep. And place a bid of two. You can see the bid over here. Now we do the same thing with account four. And this time we'll overbid. So the amount of Ethereum in account four is 858 Ethereum, right? Yeah. So now we disconnect and connect. We see this is connected to account four now. You can see the addresses match, and now we place a bid of 100 Ether. Yeah. So you can see the auction has ended, and the amounts of token allocated are accordingly. So the first bidder got 10 auction tokens worth from 2 Ether, and the second bidder got 90 ATKs from 100 Ether. Now, obviously, there should be some refund in account four. So initially, it was 858.8. Now it is 841.6, which means that 100 Ether has not been used, and the remaining amount has been refunded. Account three has 634.6, and now it is 632.7. So not the entire 2 Ethers has been used, right? Some of it has been consumed. And now let's check account four for the auction token. So we go and then we go to console, and then we get the address from here, right? And then we try to import ATK for account four. So this is the ATK, and now you can see that account four has 90 tokens allocated as per the auction. So this is case number two. The recording case three here, and we see that we're connected to account two, which we're going to use as seller for the case three. Case three is when there is only one bidder who bids for the auction. The remaining tokens get burned, and the tokens that were allocated are reflected in the bidder's wallet, as well as there's amount deducted, which is also reflected in the bidder's wallet, and the seller has an increment in the amount of Ethereum in their wallet. So let's fill these, and we will make the duration of this auction to 1 minute instead of 20 minutes because of time constraints. So let's start the auction. We go to home and we switch to the bidder account first. We see that the bidder has 631.94 Ether, which I've entered over here. Okay. And we disconnect and we connect. So now we're connected to the bidder address, which is, yeah, this is correct. So let's say we bid like 5 Ether. Okay. And our bid has been submitted. Now we wait for the timer to run out, and we will see the balance being deducted over here. 5 Ether. Yeah, it'll be deducted soon. And as soon as yeah, we see it over here. So it became 626. So we see Ether was deducted from the bidder. Now we wait for this to run out, and then we will check again. Okay, so we see over here that the bidder got allocated 36 tokens for their bid. Okay, so now we copy the token address just to see that did the bidder actually receive these tokens. And yeah, 36 tokens were received by the bidder. Now we see that the bidder has only the Ethereum left is 631.58. Okay, if we subtract that over here, minus 631.58, and the answer is 0.362, which is 36. The reserve price is 0.01. So 0.01 times 36 is 0.36. That's the difference reflected over here. And so is the difference reflected in account two, which also has an increment of 0.36 Ether. Yeah, that's it for case three.